Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be restringing this Dean Evo. The tail piece is right here. It just falls off because they do that. If you've ever experienced that, it's just how it is. Clean it up, put some 10s on it. DR tight fit 10 through 46 is what I'm going to use. And kind of walk you through my basic restring. I do a lot of these. We offer these for a decent price. Cost of strings is included, or plus the cost of strings, I'm sorry. But this is really try to make your guitar as like new as possible when I do this. You know, obviously I can't turn back time, you know, on some of these issues, you know, but I will go through it and make it look really nice. Right now I'm just kind of scrubbing down the headstock. It's covered in dust and whatnot. I don't know what the story is on this guitar because I wasn't here when it was taken in for repair. I was out of town for the weekend and had a friend cover the store for me, which was very nice. I actually got to get away for a bit and relax, which is always important. Even though I love my job, I can't live it daily. All right, so I did this 6-string bass the other day, and I do the same thing on guitars. 4/0 steel wool, scrub the frets, clean the fingerboard, you know, polish everything up, basically. Paying close attention to the area closest to the fret where the gunk builds up, making sure that's not there, and the fret itself, making sure that the strings are going to slide easily back and forth across it during bends and whatnot. So I don't know when the last time strings were changed on this guitar. I just cut them off. If I could find one real quick. They were crusty, to say the least. I don't know if you can see that they are dull and dirty and gross, and my hands smelled bad after I cut them off, which is usually not ideal. You know, that means they're not, your tone sucks, you know, all that corrosion and stuff. And the tuning stability goes with time, so I imagine these strings weren't doing anything for the player who was using this guitar. And trusty gross little oily rag right here for my lemon oil. Take a real quick look at the fingerboard before I start. It's all kind of polished up, you know, cleaned it. Now as I apply the lemon oil, it'll darken, you know, a lot. And I'll do like one swipe over it, make sure I get oil in all the nooks and crannies along the frets and everything. I'll let it sink in and then do it again, you know, because I don't want the fingerboard to dry out before it goes home, you know. So I'll do a couple passes like that. Make sure there's plenty of citrus oil in it to condition that board, which is not looking healthy right now. A bit here, it's sucking it right up. There we go. It's looking better, healthier, prettier, which is good. Okay, see that shine? That wasn't there before. It was dull. Obviously, it's a little wet, but it should stay nice and dark the way it would have been new. That's something you got to watch for on ebony and rosewood and any kind of rosewood offshoot, Paulino, whatever it is, you know, your fretboards. Don't put lemon oil on maple boards. It'll stain it, it'll look nasty. It's not the way to go. A lot of those maple boards are clear coated anyway, so they don't need anything like that. You just clean the frets, you know, and try not to scrub the clear coat too much. Anyhow, DR tight fit, 10 to 46, solid set of strings. I got into these. I was an Ernie Ball player for a long time, but I always broke strings. I tuned, at a time I was tuned at B or drop A or whatever, and I'd be busting a 68 or 58, you know, these big strings that I was using, and I just hammer on them when I play really hard. You know, it's aggressive. I like to play that way. It's the way I grew up, and I ended up ruining strings constantly. In fact, the drummer I was playing with at the time told me I was the most string breakingest guitar player he'd ever worked with. It's not for lack of like skill or anything. It's just I just beat the strings too hard. I switched to DRs. I talked to a couple gentlemen over there at DR, and I decided I'd give them a try. You know, I was looking for something comparable to the Ernie Ball, like Slinkies and Super Slinkies, and they suggested I try these tight fits. So I did, and I've been happy. I put the first set on, and I played like 3 or 4 rehearsals and a show on the first set of strings, which at the time was unheard of. They would just not last. The Ernie Balls would just die on me. And I'm not saying anything negative about Ernie Ball. I think they make a great string, really. They just don't work for my pick attack, Jazz 3 or something fatter, and basically hitting everything way too hard, you know. You don't need to beat the guitar, but I like to, you know, especially playing like heavy rhythms. I want that aggression to come through. I'm not trying to feather it. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm trying to play something really angry, and I think that needs to be present in your attack. You know, it's honest, but that's my take. There's a lot of great players out there who play with a light touch, but have some very aggressive sounding stuff because the amplifier and the instrument do the work for you. You can think of a number of examples if you just watch them play. Watch their left hand and their picking hand. You know, a lot of times they're not picking very hard. And sometimes they are, depending on the part. You know, you'll see guys that do feather their picking hand when the time calls for it. They go crazy. But stretching the strings just like I did on the bass, couple tugs, get it to where it's going to stay in pitch. This guy wants to drop, and he's buzzing because I think this bridge is set too low. I'm just going to take that up a hair real quick while I'm at this. I mean, ultimately, I want to check everything once the strings are on it and adjust the truss rod and whatnot, but I think this bridge, someone has it sunk all the way down, which doesn't work for all guitars. You want to adjust per what each guitar wants. You know, there's not like a blanket. You can't do the same thing to every guitar. You can't, like, oh, I sunk the bridge on this one, so I'm going to sink the bridge on this one, and it's going to work. They're different, you know, and because it's wood and it's organic material, it's going to react different, you know. It's going to be something that's more prone to variation than other materials, you know. And not to say that other materials aren't prone to variation, they certainly are, but I think the scope at which they vary is higher in wood because of its nature. In spite of, you know, CNC machines and everything too, it can be a, you know, a little crazy how things change, you know. Tightening the B string. I do these DR strings come like 2 per little package inside the package, and they do 3rd and 6th, 2nd and 5th, 1st and 4th. And I just kind of follow that, you know, just put them on as I go, you know. There's no sense trying to fight it or hold anything out of the way or anything like that, you know. Up to B. Stretch. Back to B. Stretch. Back to B. And let's see. There we go. Just about there. Must have bumped the G tuner. It's a little tight. He's still buzzing. I think we're going to need to adjust that truss rod, which is no problem. We'll get there when we get there. I remember the first time I got into truss rod adjustments. It's a big learning curve, you know, especially if you don't know what you're doing or no one's showing you. I had this killer ESP M2 I bought. used. I paid $380 for it, 1995. It was a 22 fret deal, so it's not something you see a lot. I've only seen a couple since. And there's a long story with that guitar. But the string action was just not right. You know, it wasn't the same as when I got it. I started turning that truss rod and messing with that, and not knowing what I was doing, I made it worse. I hated the guitar. I got mad at it. I'd play it, you know, because I'd paid for it and I remembered what it was, but it took me a little bit of time to wrangle it to where I felt like it was what it could be. You know, back to when I first picked it up and I played like an A power chord on it and was like sold the instant I picked it up. You know, the guy's like, "You sure? You only played one chord on it?" And I'm like, "I want it. I knew I wanted it. It's black, you know, humbucker single coil. Looked like Kirk Hammett's guitar, you know, being a Metallica fan when I was younger. I thought it was cool. I still own that guitar, ironically. I had a friend repaint it. I ended up chipping it a couple times, and it was chipped a little bit when I got it. So I decided I was going to paint it like some kind of dark green. A friend of mine is an art teacher and stuff. We were in school at the time. He ended up taking it and painting the body for me. Long story short, you know, we lost contact. So here I was with this guitar neck and all this hardware and stuff and no body. And I'd kind of forgotten about, you know, even bothering with the guitar. So a former friend of mine picked up an ESP Mirage at a local guitar shop. And I played it. I'm like, this feels just like my M2 used to, you know. I was like, oh man, I got to get that guitar back. So on a whim, I called that guy's parents. And he happened to live not 10 minutes from where I was at. And I met him, and the first thing he said when I called him, "Dude, I still have your guitar body." I'm like, "What?" That was awesome, you know. So I went and got that guitar and got it put back together. Ended up putting some different pickups in it and playing with it and doing some different things. Because when I got it, it had an EMG 85 in the bridge and an EMG SA in the neck, which was fine for what it was. But I've kind of, you know, I still play EMGs, Blackouts, Fishmans, whatever. I love active pickups. But I wanted to go a different route, so I ended up getting some, like a Duncan hot rails for the neck, and I think I put a Dean DMT blaze bucker in the bridge, which is a killer little pickup. The DMT pickups are great. You know, they're kind of a sleeper hit. They're relatively well priced, you know, and they're awesome. The guy at Dean that is in charge of winding the pickups and making sure everything's cool, Pat Baker, he's a great guitarist. A super nice guy, killer guitar player, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to sounds, and he's designed some really nice pickups. So that's why I went with that guitar, and it ended up sounding really good. The Blaze Bucker was developed by him and Buddy Blaze. So it's a kind of a biting kind of pickup, you know, nice and mean. And, you know, something to consider too when you're looking at pickups is you know, body woods. It absolutely makes a difference, you know. Some pickups sound great in one guitar and sound like crap in another. It's just the way it is. Wow, that one fell flat. The neck's pulling on us. Must be like a mahogany neck. I don't know what, I can't remember the specs on these old Evos. They were cool for the price range, you know. I think they were like $329 new, if I'm not mistaken. It's a set neck too, you know, with that. It's got a little carve there. It's pretty killer guitar for that kind of price. You know, you don't typically get features like that in a guitar, or at least especially a few years ago. You know, I think competition's ramping up now. Chinese manufacturers and whatnot are selling direct. It's becoming a little more Easier to find stuff like a great set neck guitar and stuff, but for a lower price. But this is was really cool. I sold a bunch of these when they first came out. So I'll use my pit gauge, or my gauge here, i.e. my chest 3, kind of slide it under the frets here and see what I think. So this truss rod is as tight as it will go, which is not what I want. You should have adjustment in your truss rod. As far as, well, it's not, I don't know that the nut is as tight as it'll go, but the strings are laying on the frets, which I don't like, and we can't have that. That isn't optimum. You want a little relief, you know, and then you can lower your bridge, and then you got better action all the way across, because these things are set in an angle into the body. These necks. I pop that A string. Put my screws where I can find them. Always important. Truss rod cover comes off. You know, just moved out of my way. Wrenches. Gotta have these. I have so many of these. I've collected just tons of them. I'm just gonna give this a couple like little turns. Going counterclockwise, or as you're facing it clockwise, but I mean looking down the neck this way, I'm going counterclockwise. That should like give us some relief. Yeah, that's better. It was too low. I mean, that string, I raised that bridge at the beginning of this video, and that string was still buzzing. So now I can actually take the bridge back down, and it should play even better. Taking the bridge down too detunes your strings, so you want to retune. Taking your bridge up raises their pitch. Think about it, tension, you know. About a half step off right now. Grab this truss rod cover. Put my pick somewhere. There it is. All right. So just eyeballing it looks better. I can even go further down with the bridge, I think, at this point. I've got more adjustment. What I typically do is I take them down as far as I take them to where they buzz and then back them up. Gotta retune again. You can't do a setup until you're at pitch. I wouldn't recommend it, because the tension is what is going to change the way the neck sits. It's going to change the back bow. It's going to change everything, you know. Let's see what we got now. I think I'm a little low, so I'm going to come up a hair. You can hear it buzzing there, so I just got to that point where I'm going to back it back up. Now, like I said, going up raises the pitch. I'm a couple cents sharp, so I'm going to retune it again. There we go. I think we got it. I'm pretty happy. Yeah, it's looking good. So, yeah, string action is a lot lower. I think the customer's going to be happy with how that plays now versus what it was when it came in here. It was missing 2 broken strings and just dirty. I'm going to kind of like wipe it down real quick, make sure I got all the crap off, you know. Just kind of make it look as nice as possible for when they pick it up. You know, you want them to, you know, remember how cool their guitar was. You know, it's always nice to, it's like washing your car. You know, if you don't wash your car for a while and you take it to the car wash, or you, especially if you do it in the driveway, you scrub it down and, you know, taking a look at the paint and everything, like, man, I remember how this car was so cool, you know. Same thing with the guitar, you know, making it look awesome. Hey, look, we got a loose jack. So, like usual, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that. You never want to just tighten this in place. I always pull the whole thing out, tighten it, and put it back in. Because if you just twist that jack while you're trying to tighten the nut, what happens? Break your solder joints. And if you're not handy with a soldering iron, you're in trouble, right? And then you've got an issue that you have to pay someone else to fix. Fortunately, I know my way around a soldering iron, but even so, I still won't go ahead and just do that crap. You know, I think it's a bad idea. Why would I want my wires twisted around, you know? There we go. Back in play. And they always come loose. I use like electro socket type jacks on my guitars. They're set in with the jack itself threads to the body of the housing, and then the housing is screwed to the guitar. So those really don't go anywhere. They don't get loose. But if I will not, I don't mind a little Loctite on there. I think it's a good thing. Because they will just work their way loose as you plug and unplug a guitar, you know. So a little Loctite's going to save you a heartache in the long run. I didn't do it on this guitar, and I don't think it's necessary all the time. It's something I do for myself, you know, or anyone who requests it. I'll certainly add a couple dabs of that so that guy doesn't constantly give him grief. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish up here. I'm putting the truss rod cover screws back in, and I'm going to give the customer a call, let them know their guitar is ready to go, and they can come pick it up. And hopefully they enjoy it. That's the big thing, right? Funny thing is, I work in a guitar shop. I work on guitars. I'm around them all the time. My favorite thing about guitars is playing them, right? I don't get to do it as much as I'd like. That's for sure. But that's life. Getting to be around them and work on them and stuff is very satisfying for me. You know, I'm fascinated with the instrument and how it works. Yep, we're good to go. So I hope you enjoy the video. Feel free to drop me a line. Our website is brgmusic.com. You can message me there. You can reach me by email, which is benbrgmusic@gmail.com. You can call our shop at 515-329-0120. We're on Reverb. We're on the web. You need anything done to your guitars, you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I can hopefully point you in the right direction if I can't do it myself. Again, please like and subscribe, comment if you'd like to. You have any tips or pointers that you'd like to throw in, I'm always open to hearing someone else's ideas, you know. I'm not like offended if you disagree with me. I'd like to see what someone else has to say. So anyway, like, subscribe, visit us online, and I'll be back probably in 2 days with another video. Thanks a lot.